You are watching Why in the Morning only on Y254 channel, and I am Hilda Wadidi, and it's about that time we delve into youth and politics. We do this every Monday from 8 a.m. and I have youth leaders with me in studio. So if you do want to participate in the conversation, on Twitter we're at Y254 channel, the hashtag is Why in the Morning. On Facebook we're at Y254. On YouTube, just in case you missed some of the valuable insight over here, we're at Y254 channel. On Instagram we're at Y254_ channel. So do slide into our DM. Now today on Youth and Politics, I stumbled upon a report that talks about the impact of us actually reviewing our constitution. So with me in studio today, we'd like to discuss the reforming of an already reformed constitution. So I will allow my guests to introduce themselves. Let me start with Wangai right here next to me.
Good morning, Kenyans. My name is John Wangai, the Youth Senator at Laikipia County and the Acting National Coordinator of Youth Senate Kenya. It's a pleasure having us here. Thank you.
All right.
Hello everybody, I'm Lekeno Lendeti from Kajiado County, Youth Governor Kajiado County. It's a pleasure being here.
Good morning our viewers. My name is Apio J.F. Apio, the National Youth Leader Third Way Alliance. We are here for the show and welcome. We expect you to participate with us. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming to studio today. Now, we'd like to discuss, there has been talks of a referendum that would, for us to change the constitution, and Appear you're here because you also have a referendum that you're pushing as Third Way Alliance, and that is going to reduce the over-representation problem that we have. However, the issue is whether or not we have a referendum, there are still calls for constitutional review. So we'd like to discuss now some of the impact of this constitutional review to development and to devolution and the fate of our young leaders like yourselves. Should the constitution be reviewed and the representation be reduced? And we have the new proposed referendum government that Raila is trying to push as well. So Raila wishes to install parliamentary systems and a more effective form of devolution, largely based on the Bomas draft. So what are some of the advantages of the parliamentary system, aside from shifting the focus on ethnicity? And formally, what are some of the advantages of the parliamentary system as vis-a-vis the system that we have now, which is the presidential?
For the Kenyans who don't know more about the Constitution, in Articles 255, 256, and 257, outlines the processes where you can start a process, you can initiate a process of constitutional change. You can do so by either parliamentary initiative, whereby MPs through the parliament, they can change some clauses of the constitution, and you can also go through the popular way, whereby you rally 1 million voters to support your bill, and after that you will again rally more than 50% of the county assemblies to support you, and thereby IBC will declare a referendum. So as per Right Honorable Raila Odinga's proposals of the parliamentary system, I tend to see that one of the advantages of the parliamentary system is that the parliamentary system more will be a more competitive place. Yeah, because like in the last assembly, the last one, the MPs who are voted in the assembly, or the people who are chosen to be ministers and assistant ministers. So I tend to see that like right now we have a lot of MPs, most of which are not competent enough. So by going through the parliamentary system, the people who shall be vying there will be more competent enough, and there will be a tough competition. And I also tend to think that through the parliamentary system, we have the prime minister who should be chosen amongst them. So the advantages are less than the disadvantages are many, in my view. So I tend to think that it's not time to change the constitution. We should just give the current constitution some more years. It's just 2010 we amended the constitution. At least we should come up with a little bit more views of why we should amend that constitution to reduce the numbers than more of increasing the numbers. Yes.
All right. Let me hear for Leket.
Yeah, so probably just to give an insight from my brother here. The parliamentary system that was maybe proposed by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, I think to some extent it will be of the benefit to Kenyans. For example, the introduction of like in the previous constitution we had, where ministers were members of parliament, where their salary was not that huge compared to the current ministers we have, or even cabinet secretaries. So I think it will be a benefit to the Kenyan, whereby the technocrats are not brought out as cabinet secretaries. On the other hand, it will be of a bit of a disadvantage to the Kenyans, whereby if counties are merged, and you find that since devolution, at least some marginalized regions in this country have gotten that inclusion in governance. At least they have a budget that they run compared to what their revenue collection. So I think when we merge these counties, it will be a serious crisis in some of the regions, whereby like, for example, if you look at the pastoralist region, where their source of revenue is more of
by merging counties, you're talking about the issue of us going back to the 12-14 block regions.
Yeah, correct. So I mean, it will have a serious impact on these counties who have been marginalized for a very long period of time. I mean, they will still be at the back compared to other counties like Nairobi and even the regions of Kiambu and such other regions. So I believe, and I mean, it is not a time where we should be rallying for constitutional reforms again in this country, because you find that at least it also require a huge budget to run a referendum. So maybe it is.
Okay, let me hear from Api. What do you believe are some of the advantages and disadvantages?
I think all of us first need to understand that the Kenyan constitution is one of the most progressive constitutions that we have.
Yes.
And I think it is the only constitution that in a genius way allocates chapter 6 about integrity across the world. It is only the Kenyan constitution. So we need to be very sincere with whatever we are saying if you want a constitutional amendment.
Yes.
We have been putting this constitution into practice and implementation for the past, from 2012, right? That is when it was enacted, inaugurated in that case. And we have seen the loopholes that this constitution is putting a very, very big wage bill to the common taxpayer or somebody paying tax, the ordinary Kenyans. They are feeling the burden of this constitution. And that is why I think amending this constitution is something so inevitable that we have just to champion it. About the proposal that was raised by Right Honorable Raila Odinga about the parliamentary system, for me, I feel that the biggest problem that we have in this country probably would not be expanding the apex government. That is, we want to have parliamentary system. We have to have office of the executive prime minister. We want to have the office of president. Actually, we are going to increase the burden of the wage bill in this country, because all those offices will require money to run. All those offices will require resources. All those offices will require attention, and therefore we are going to increase the burden. If you look at a scenario whereby the proposal is aiming at merging counties and abolishing some of the counties, in the spirit of devolution, we were speaking about money going to counties. We are not speaking about merging the already existing counties so that money remains at the apex government or the central government. So
yes, because there's that issue. People were wondering, okay, even if we were to revert back to that system and have the parliamentary system and have the 14 regional blocks as proposed for the referendum by the Right Honorable. And now I've learned how to say that, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. What will be the motive? What is the motive? Will the government have even more control? All the control that we had counties had freed themselves against from the national government and the discrimination. Will the government again now have that power again to marginalize communities and counties?
Maybe to finish, we should be having a constitutional amendment gearing towards allocating or giving more money to counties, or money coming close more to people than the current existing constitution. So merging counties should not even be a proposal, should not be an option. I hope it will be thrown away by the IBC when they will be harmonizing the document to present to Kenyans for the plebiscite. So
all right, we do understand that part of the reason why people are pushing for the constitution to be changed is the issue of over-representation. However, we'd like to understand, as youth leaders yourselves, and some of you represent counties, in the event that the referendum or the constitution was to be reviewed to the point that we reduce the number of people representing us, what is the future of young leaders as yourself? If the counties no longer exist, what is the future for young leaders like yourselves?
Well, as okay, yes, we have many Kenyans are pushing for constitutional changes because of representation. They are saying that Fonta amechoka, like my good mentor, Dr. Kuru quote, is saying that we should punguza mzigo. Well, it's a good initiative, but in my view, I see that in a budget of around 3 trillion, the percentage that goes to pay these representatives are less than 5% of the budget. So you ask yourself, where are the other trillions going to? The other trillions are in the office of the president and the deputy president. So that are the offices which use a big percentage. So if we are saying put Amechoka, then these are the offices that we should start with. Start with reducing cabinet secretaries from the current 22 to around 10. Because some things can be merged. Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Water, these are things that can be merged. And again, start with other affirmative actions. Well, again, as per youth, the county government, we have seen that it has improved the lives of youth. Youths, as a recent statistic, they are over 70% of Kenya's population. And in the counties, we have a lot of jobs to the counties. We have the county development funds, county enterprise funds. These are the affirmative actions that have been put in place in accordance with Article 100 of the Constitution to improve the lives of the marginalized people, either the youths, the people with disability, and women. So I think, in my view, also fighting the gender bill, we have seen that the counties have created positions of nominated people who represent the marginalized communities. We have seen the creation of posts of women reps. So I think, in my view, the counties they are doing a good job. It depends with who is the governor and what, because we have seen some counties are doing extremely well. Counties like Makueni, yes, they are marginalized, but right now they have a milk industry, they have a fruit industry, created a lot of jobs. So it depends with who is the governor there, the leadership there. So I think it's premature to judge the current constitution. We should give it some more time, maybe, and then we can see from there. It's less than even a decade. It's 8 years old, and we are rushing again to say that we need it amended. So I think we need to give it more time. Again, we are from last year's continuous elections, the election and the repeat election costed us over 30 billion. Chebukati saying that the referendum may cost Kenyans 15 billion. Right now there are rumors that the country is broke. We are heading for another Eurobond from China. So I think that the taxes again has been increased, the fuel taxes and more other taxes. So I think that it's not time to start again politicking. We should give the current party, the current government a chance to deliver its manifesto to Kenyans. And then again, in the proposal of so Moses Kuria proposing that in 2022 we can have 7 ballots, 6 for the nominated elected people and 7 for referendum. I think that is more cheap, and because Kenya, we are doing a lot of things. we are going within beyond our means, which we cannot afford. So I think as per now, we should just give the government an opportunity to perform, deliver the big 4, and then we will debate that later.
Okay, let me ask you, what do you think is the motive behind why people are pushing so much for the constitutional review? Because the county governance experts have said that we need to look at the constitution critically and not based on the influence that we are receiving from the politicians. What is working in the constitution and what is not working exactly? Or are we changing it for some other reason? What do you believe is the motive behind the reason for the constitutional review this particular time round?
One, I think the push for referendum, the referendum, is more of politically driven, because you find that in this country, before we go between 2 interval elections, there is always a referendum, and you find that these are people trying to, these are politicians trying to weigh themselves and trying to see who is on the other hand, who is on this end. So I believe it is politically driven, and it will have a huge impact to us as youths, because if we are going to abolish some of the counties, I mean, there is in the current devolution, there are job opportunities, there are youths being represented in various various positions of influence and in governance. So I believe it will be a huge impact to us as young people, because one, if this representation, the seats that we have, youth representation in county assemblies and even in parliament, if these youth, if this position are going to be scrapped off, I mean, we will stand a chance to
be kicked out of government completely.
Of even being on the table. So I believe that it will have a huge impact to our young people down there.
All right. Let me go to you, Apio. Now, former President Mwai Kibaki claimed that the new constitution, the one that we currently have, will not cure all the ills that are facing governance in the country. Do you believe that he was correct? Even before we changed the constitution to the counties and what have you, he said that that particular new constitution will not solve or cure the problems that we have. So what do you think also is the motive behind the push for constitutional review?
In that constitution, first I would want to respond to one thing here that one guy said, that that when we are speaking about Punguza Mizigo, the amount in the budget that is representing, or we are speaking about allocation to representatives like members of parliament and what is only 5%, and that 5% cannot have a big chunk on the money we are losing every fiscal year. I want to say something, that we should stop trivializing or minimizing the quantity of the amount of money we lose in government. For example, do you know the reason why Parliament passed 8% the tax
levy,
the
yes.
Do you know, government was only looking for 35 billion. And the amount is speaking about, that would, if you put it, or if you have it in terms of the real money, is about 27 billion. That is Thika Highway. Thika Highway was built by 27 billion Kenyan shilling, including land compensation, including corruption inside it, including every bit of, and they spent 27 billion in doing that. So I think we should stop trivializing that even if we punguza mizigo, then finally we are going to have only around 5% of money going back to government. On what you have said, or what you are asking me about, what was proposed by former President Mwai Kibaki. All of us believe that, or know that, President Kibaki was an economist, and above all, he was somebody that was sharp in governance and administration. Though he raised this point, and there are a number of politicians, including the current Deputy President William Ruto, who opposed the current constitution that we are having today on various grounds. In fact, I remember one of the papers indicated that Ruto warned Kenyans that you should not support this constitution because it will be a burden to the common taxpayer. We'll have more representatives. There was some light shade and there was some reality in whatever they are saying or advocating for, that this constitution would be a burden to common mwananchi. And that is why, after putting this constitution even to around 7 years implementation period, or the implementation window, and we've realized that, as far as we are concerned, in fact, the biggest losers in this constitution are youth, because even if you look at the representation, there is no prime point in that constitution saying that youth should do what or what. In fact, what that constitution is bringing about in terms of youth is that youth should be given 30%. Tender what by the AGPO and the rest. That is the only point that constitution is bringing, or talking about youths in terms of representation, having position in government, having opportunities in doing 1, 2, 3 things, tenders. It's not that clear. So that is why, for us in Third Way, we believe that after putting in this constitution into implementation for close to 8 years, we have realized the loopholes. And you know very well, my party leader was the CEO, was the chairman, was the CEO, the chairman of the experts, the committee of experts that was building, or that was creating this constitution into existence. My party leader was the CEO in this thing. So after realizing that, after 8 years, we have realized that this constitution had this H and this and this and this. Amending this constitution is inevitable. Then finally, we might say that there are politicians who want to take advantage of this. Me specifically, I'm not happy, because if you look at the history of our country, we usually have referendum or constitutional amendment driven politics between two electioneering period at the interface, at the middle.
Very good.
Probably this is something that I think we need to include it in the constitution, that what or under what condition should we call for a referendum in this country?
Yes, people don't just call referendums.
We cannot be after the electionary period, then we throw the country again into a political environment. So even if there are politics taking center stage in this push to change our constitution. Changing constitution is something that is required in this country now, but we cannot ignore that politicians are taking advantage of the whole sincere process.
All right, there was also the question that was raised by the research was that, okay, so supposing we were to succeed and maybe third wave was to succeed and we were to be able to punguza mizigo and reduce all the people representing us, who is going to do the work of all those people that are going home? Because they already have established roles and responsibilities. So the question was, who is going to do all this work? We might say that we are reducing the cost of governance and what have you, but who is going to do? Won't we incur another cost with the formation of a new particular system? And do we need that right now? So who's going to do the work?
May I believe that there are some fundamental points that if by mistake IBC will include in the document of the constitutional amendment, then Kenyans will reject that amendment. For example, telling Kenyans that we want to merge counties or abolish counties. Tell Kenyans that we want to have more money allocated to counties, we want to have more money moving to the people, but a proposal that will see counties merged, may I believe that that referendum will not succeed, because Kenyans will read it and majority will be like, so we are going to lose our jobs because of a constitution, because of a paper here. Okay, you can sit down and have your paper there.
There was also a question on whether MPs would actually vote to reduce their own numbers.
How many MPs do we have? They are not even 0.00% of the Kenyans. So even if they vote or they don't vote, if Kenyans want number of the members of or number of members of parliament reduced, MPs vote will not even account, because they are around 427 idle people in parliament.
Okay, the reason why people feel they're idlers in parliament is as some of the loopholes of devolution, or can we say the shortcomings of devolution, was that the communities were not properly educated, and even the county representatives themselves are not properly educated on what kind of interaction they needed to have with each other. So we'd like to understand from you, in your different counties, do your county people know what the county speaker does, what the MCA is supposed to do, what is the communication like? Is there any particular communication? They say there's an issue, and that's 74% of Kenyans, by the way.
Well, I would first want to to answer to my brother Pio. He's told us that the party leader is my good friend Dr. Guru, was the CEO of the committee of experts. Well, and he also told us that politicians are taking advantage of the constitutional change. Well, the constitution, this is one of the best constitution in Africa. And the reason why it was written the best is chapter 4, which gave us the Bill of Rights. Right now, Kenyans have a high democratic space compared to other nations in Africa.
Yes.
And the same Bill of Rights gives any Kenyan the right to start a constitutional change through the parliamentary system, through the popular vote, or through any other way. So we cannot say that you can deter someone from starting a constitutional amendment, even if it is by 2 years or toward to election. Again, my question to my brother was, if Dr. Kuro Okot was the chairman of the committee, the CEO of committee of experts, so why, there are some critics I read in a newspaper, they were saying, why is he coming back to tell us that we need to punguza mzigo? Why didn't he see that coming? He is a doctor.
Yes, Apio, let's hear. Why did you see that coming?
And they said he is one of the politicians who is taking the constitutional change as a need to give him some mileage. So I need to...
Not really.
Oh, this is, we are back again to motives, isn't it?
Not really.
So can you, let's clarify.
First, all of us need to understand that in the Constitution, chapter 1, the preamble indicates that we, the people of Kenya, are we getting that? You're a lawyer, right? You read that. We, the people of Kenya. The first chapter acknowledge that wherever or whatever the content of this document is an acknowledgement from Kenyans. Constitutional process is a negotiated process whereby people participate. People seek views, or there is public participation. There is that process of going to people, ask them, what do you want, this. The CEO of committee of expert is to harmonize the proposal made by the public. So we are speaking about a negotiated process by Kenyans. That is why in the preamble it is not written, I Kuru Court. Sugar that.
Like, do you have any sentiments as the governors of Kenya when it comes to these motives that are being questioned of Third Way Alliance?
Okay, maybe just to add on what my brother Wanguya said. I think it is more of a mileage, if I can say, like what Wanguya said. But to another extent, it is of a benefit to the common mwananchi down there, because at least those budget cuts will at least have an input to increase of allocation of money going to the county governments.
Yes.
So I believe that the constitutional change have a slight benefit to us compared to the previous constitution we have. But then there is this issue of will it actually solve the problems that we are actually having? Because
yes, that's a
believe,
big question. Yes.
I believe that Way Alliance should just come out and give us questions on is how will this work? How what is the main question of us going to a referendum?
Yes.
Since we are barely one year from a election period. So I believe it will have a huge constitutional reforms will have a huge impact to the county governments as compared to what we are actually seeing it now. Yeah.
So they should not give us half stories.
Yeah,
they're
should
telling
not
us
just
one
give us
side of the story. They're not
they're
telling.
just giving us up.
And this Appeal is hard in here.
I hope that you people have read our 16 points document in the proposal Mzigo document. We are not only addressing the issue of overrepresentation. We are giving clear direction what should be included in the constitution to fight vices like corruption. Like we are proposing that if you are a government official and you are culpable of corruption, then you should have a life sentence right inside. That is our point number 14. Life
sentence for misusing public funds.
That is ours. If that is what is going to stop corruption in this country, those are the things we are putting in place or we are proposing. If you look at that our document around the 16 points, overrepresentation is only one point. We are even proposing that we have wards as the primary unit of development, so that we have money going even to wards instead of money going to counties. You get it? That will spur economic growth. That will accelerate and spur economic growth instead of taking money to counties. Look, if you
there's been a lot of mismanagement even with the county governance.
If you give an example, you give a ward at home 20 billion. That is how many boreholes? Around 10 boreholes. Even if you are to nini, steamer itakuwa hapo, everything will be there. So we are raising many points. Unless you people have not read the document, you should not be in the show.
I like the fact that you've mentioned the particular policies that you feel we need to change. We'd like to understand from as young people and as youth leaders, what do you think in the constitution should we retain? What part of this constitution is working for us before we start thinking about all the things that are not working for us? What stands out to you in your particular county, the area in which you represent? What should we retain, and what do you feel is at risk of because as in the process of changing the constitution, we might lose some things we'd have liked to retain. So we'd like to understand from you what risks also does changing the constitution pose on those particular things that we should retain.
Well, as my brother said, that one thing that I like with their proposal is increasing the money for devolution from 15% to around 40%. Well, that is a good motive, such that we also saw the MCAs in a meeting in Mombasa. They said that they want the Ward Development Fund. Well, if they can assess that, I think that can be more better to devolution, because the ward representatives are the units of devolution. Those are the people who should be empowered first, so that we can have the devolution working. In my county, Laikipia County, devolution has been good. We have seen, Laikipia was a marginalized county. In the latest marginalization funds, we saw that we were given some billions. And as per now, compared to before devolution and after now, I see that we have improved loads. Laikipia County is a hub, tourism hub. We improved more tourism. The numbers have increased because right now we have the infrastructure. We have the county marketing itself now.
What about ease of governance for young people?
Well, ease for governance also as the young people. We have gotten a voice, because compared to the last government, whereby your voice was only to propel to the national government, where like here, youth people, you join together as groups. You are given the youth fund, the county youth fund, county enterprise fund. You develop yourselves as the youth groups, women groups, people with disability groups, and I see that if we give this constitution some more time, like it will be more developed. While the disadvantage of changing this constitution, like Mheshimiwa former Prime Minister said, is that when you merge these counties, like Laikipia, you join it to be the maybe East Rift Valley region. Well, one disadvantage with that is that these counties will feel, the now 8 counties, because now you see when we passed the constitution in around 2013. When that challenge of the governors having the flags on their car, they felt that they are the people who are saying
yes.
Yeah, so the disadvantage with that is that we shall see many cases of these counties wanting to succeed, which is a retrogressive move as Kenyans. So I think for now we should just give it a time. Let's see where it will take us some time.
Okay.
Punguza mzigo, I think it's not timely.
Not timely. Oh, Happy, don't worry, we're getting to you.
Okay, maybe just to give my input on the benefits of devolution.
Yes.
I personally come from Kajiado County, whereby in our devolved system of governance, where at least ward representations, the youth ward allocation, that is around close to 40 million allocation of fund to the wards.
Ward development, yes.
And I think it will be a good move, like my brother here, Pio says. At least they are trying to increase the allocation of funds to the ward levels.
Yes.
And
they're empowering the wards. Yes.
At least, and I think wards are the smallest unit of development or even representation. In another case, like for example, in our county, there is a high rate of youth representation, of which we are proud to have. Like for example, the deputy governor of Kajiado County is a youth, and you find that we have a series of youths being brought on the table, and at least they have an influence in governance. In at least we have that bargaining power in the county government. So I believe those are the things that we will not want to change as a youth, because it will have a huge impact to ourselves and even development, as far as development is concerned.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Laken.
Maybe to give my contribution. Number one, all of us know that if some of the proposals like reducing the number of counties sees the light of the day in this constitution, then we have a number of people who lose jobs.
Yes. All of you included.
Yeah.
We have a number of people who lose jobs, and you know the impact of unemployed or a country with a high rate of unemployment, crime rates, suicide, and other vices that we see in society. So the biggest threat is, number one, if some of the proposals that we are seeing today sees that are being proposed by politicians or people agitating for constitutional change sees the light of the day, then a number of Kenyans are going to lose job. Number two, if some of them, like what is being proposed by the former opposition leader Raila Odinga about having a 3-tier government, if this is the light of the day, then all of us need to understand that we are going to have more burden again to the public, because running 3 arms of executive is costly and will require an alteration in the fiscal budgeting of our country in terms of budgeting, because we will have office of the Prime Minister, the Parliament, and this other one, the regional commissioners and the rest. But what we need to take care of as well, we were coming up with a proposal because all of us here are youths, and what I usually, or how I challenge our youths, is that we should ask ourselves one question. If you're going to have an amendment to a constitution, how are youths going to benefit from this?
Yes.
From this amendment?
And what is the implication? Because most young people, they'll tell you, oh, we are saving costs.
We are coming up with something we are still debating. For us, we wanted that. You saw the other day, Women League or the CG Feeders Stewards, they called a press conference and said, now what we want is that wherever you elect a man, you elect a woman. You get it? That is what they showed the country, that they are going to support such an amendment. That, for example, in counties, you're electing a governor, you're electing a female again. Coming to constituencies, the same. Youths, we should come out with our own agenda. That in this constitution, we are going to support it because we are the majority. We are going to support it on this ground. For us, we are coming up with a proposal that if already we have a governor or a member of parliament and a women rep in our counties, a deputy governor should be literally a youth. That is the proposal we are coming up with. Or if they cannot do that, then we have a nomination slot for a youth, or the nomination slot we have in the Senate and in Parliament. 3/4% be given to youths. Those are the proposals that we are putting in place as youths in this country, so that we see that if there is going to be a constitutional amendment, then we have some prime target that is targeting youths, that youths must at least come close to governance and administration. So far so good. That constitutional amendment will come with its disadvantages and advantages, but I would challenge youths outside there that if there is something that they're supposed to be looking at in this scenario, is that let us come with our own agenda as youths. That okay, you politicians or people agitating for constitutional amendment, what is inside for us as youths in this country, and we are not going to,
motives?
And what are their motives? And we are not going to come up with a blanket or a generalization that constitutional amendment, youth will get this and this and this. We want the role, the function, and the benefit of youths outlined properly in that amendment. That is our position, and I would want to challenge youths. If we come to you on ground, wherever we are going, where all these politicians coming around, you should ask them one question: what is inside for us as youths in this country?
Yes, that is the big question, and that is why we were asking, why should we reform an already reformed constitution? We need to look at it critically and know that even if people tell you stories about reducing costs, when we reduce the numbers, you need to know that even the new system will still cost us something. So it's not about even saving costs and what have you. It's about looking up at the constitution based on whether it works for us and whether it doesn't, and what works, what should remain, what should not remain, and what are the motives behind some of these changes and proposals being made left, right, and center. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming to studio today. It's about time we conclude this segment. All right, we have been watching Youth and Politics. I'm Hilda Wadidi. Have yourself a nice day, and make sure you do reflect. Man Crush Monday is coming up next.